First, we will check that we have the correct Java 1.8 JDK installed, download the installation media, and ensure that we have a copy of the JDBC driver associated to our AAI database. It's also worth noting that the AAI installation requires an X11 or graphical display, so it would be an idea to test that Xeyes or Xclock applications can be started before attempting to run the AAI install. After unpacking the install media, we will run the AAI installer. The first step is to review and accept the license agreement. Next, we need to choose the Automic Automation Intelligence installation directory. Then, select the folder for the executable symlinks. The next step is to choose the server ID and description. Then, select the DBMS type and provide the database location. Next, provide the database details. This example is Oracle. However, MS SQL Server will look slightly different. The installer will write SQL to create the database. These questions will help to determine the initial database sizes. Then we provide the periodic task frequencies. These can always be changed later within the AAI configuration. Next, provide the relevant product activation details. The company domain is ordinarily the email address, and the enterprise site ID is the site ID associated to your Broadcom account. If you wish, SNMP and SMTP details can be added here. Again, these can be added later via the configuration tool if they're desired. We are now ready to install. The installation of the files and the required libraries is completed. Note that the installer advises us of the SQL files needed for the database creation. This is an example README file. It provides more details associated to the installation, how to start the server, what the database files contain, and how to get help. The final step of the AAI installation is to copy the database JDBC driver to the Automic Automation Intelligence deployments directory. To create the database, first we need to amend one of the SQL files that the installer has created. Change to the scripts directory and open the Create Devices SQL file with an editor. In this file, we need to provide the database user and password that we'd like the installer to create. We do this by changing the @user and the @password entries and saving the file. After switching to the Oracle user, we can create the database and the database user. This step should be executed as a database administrator. In this case, I'm using the system account. The database table spaces and the user have now been created. Next, we need to create the AAI database tables itself. We load the create JAWSDB SQL file with the user that we created in the previous step. In this example, we created a user called AAI. So it's the AAI user that we'll use to create the database tables. The database has now been created. To verify the database connection, first we will start the config tool and select the AAI installation directory. When the config tool has opened, verify the database connection details and click on the Test button. The test will determine the database existence, connectivity, and the access of the specified user. Now, we can start the AAI server process. In this example, I will start the AAI server with the start bg command. That means that the AAI server will start as a background process to this session. Now that the AAI server has been started, we can check the logs to ensure that there aren't any issues. The first file I review will be the server log to ensure that the WAR files were all deployed successfully and that the server has started. The second file I will check is the jaws.log file. This will tell me that the database connection has been successful and that the schedulers are actually connected and the AAI server is running. From the AAI URL, selecting the classic launcher will download a JNLP file to your desktop. Launching the web UI will present a login page where the default credentials must be used. Once logged in, selecting Unify will launch the Java Thick client. We have now successfully installed, started, and logged in to the Automic Automation Intelligence platform. Thank you for watching.